Hey, it's New Thought Talk. I'm your host, Steve Walling, from the Spiritual Awareness Center located in Fresno, California. As I say each week, Fresno, the heart of the Central Valley, and the Central Valley, the heart of California. We got a lot of heart going on here. I'm glad to be here today. I hope you're glad to be here also. And as I also say most every week, I hope that as you were beginning to awaken into this day before you even opened your eyes, that you were already affirming your good, affirming your acceptance of God's incredible abundance and wealth that is delivered to this reality that you call your life experience specifically for you, that you may live your life and live it more abundantly, more prosperously, with greater health and greater livingness. Welcome to the show. I'm glad to be here. Anyway, what we've been doing the last couple weeks, and we'll be continuing for a while, is going through a book that is entitled Pray and Prosper. Ernest Holmes wrote this book in 1944, and it's been reissued. You can get it; it's still available, and it's a great tool as we are working through our spiritual journey. Whether you happen to be someone that is associated with religious science or any of the other New Thought organizations, the Fillmore's Unity, the Reverend Johnny Coleman's Universal Foundation for Better Living, the Brooks Sisters in Divine Science, and all the other organizations. And at one time, the prominence and prevalence of these organizations was substantially larger than it is today. And it's a question that I've asked. I've asked people that within the community. I've asked people that I've associated with. I've asked myself. I've sought an answer in prayer. And one of the things that has come to me, and this is only my personal understanding, is a lot of it is that as a spiritual walk, a spiritual philosophy, a spiritual way of living this and way of life, a faith, if you will, that we have kind of gotten away from the daily practice of affirmative prayer treatment with the daily intention to see and with an expectation to see God unfold, spirit unfold, principle unfold by demonstrating in our life and providing to us that which has been provided for us in potential. We ever took our first breath. Our purpose for being here is to live life and live it at a maximum level as each of us are as individuals, meaning that some of us have certain kind of talents, some of us have other kind of talents, but all of us have this thing called life as a part of them, as expressing through them. And life desires to express ever greater and ever more abundantly. Which means as we go through life that we need to seek out challenges, not try to avoid them. We need to realize that when things get tough, we have a bigger God than any toughness that we may face. That life comes at us at the speed of life, but we are never alone. Not even for a bit, because God lives at the core of our being. That light, that life within us is God expressing as us and expressing through us. So as we work our journey, as we walk our path, learning to master our tools so that we can master our own life experience and expression it's a great thing to do. And I love teaching this, and I love seeing people demonstrate in their lives. There's some people that think that affirmative treatment is only for, if we got a health issue, right? And only if there's certain kind of health issues. I mean, there's some kind of health issues that people may shy away from a little bit, when we're talking about treatment. In truth, we align ourselves with principle. We create the demonstration within our consciousness, within our imagination. We know that that's truth expressing, and as we know it, at the level we know it, at the level of our beliefs, we'll see it demonstrate in our life. And none of that is dependent upon any pre-existing conditions. One of the things when I talk to people, they'll say, well, okay, we're going to treat for, we'll say abundance, right? And in order for them to experience abundance in their own mind, they're thinking, well, I've got to get a raise at work, or I've got to have this happen, that loan's got to go through. And none of that counts with God. With God, all things are possible, and we wipe the slate, and we become receptive to the way, the path, and the demonstration that God brings into our life. And it's a funny thing that if Spirit doesn't demonstrate exactly what we are intending that we want to see demonstrate, but we take a look at what has appeared in our path for us, oftentimes we find that it's a better way, a better thing, something that we hadn't thought of, and yet here it is. And it's a gift to us from the divine, from God. So Pray and prosper. Ernest Holmes wrote this book. Last week, I think I got to about page 16. I may have, no, I think that's about where it is, but I'm going to start there anyway, because on page 16, Holmes writes, first of all, he said, judge not, and he's speaking about the master teacher. He says, judge not according to appearances. Judge not according to appearances. It's not about the conditions. It's not about what we see in our life. When I was talking about creating abundance, it's not about knowing that as I'm treating that my boss is going to have to give me a raise or the interest rates are going to have to go up or down or this or that. It's we see the demonstration in our treatment as we are speaking our word. We see it within that incredible place within our minds, our consciousness called the imagination. And if you happen to be familiar with Neville, he's a great resource on understanding the power of addressing the imagination in the way he does. It's a little bit different maybe than Holmes's approach, but it's a powerful tool. Learn how through what Neville teaches, how to embrace this thing called the imagination. Neville actually referred to the imagination as that which is God within us. And, we're all God expressed as us, so, he's not wrong when it comes to that. But knowing how and doing it, and one of the things that I'll stress this, I'll get a little bit of a sidetrack here, but I want to address this right here and now, and that is that there's no time in our life when we are not capable of speaking our word. There's no impediment to us experiencing life as we were meant to live. The limiting factor is our own beliefs, and we don't have to buy into that. So we work, we learn, we seek to increase our beliefs. So he says, judge not according to appearances. Okay, that is, do not be confused by the conditions around you. The waves may be turbulent and the boat storm tossed. Okay, not a problem. Not a problem. It says, this appearance is real enough, but do not be confused over it. Be still and know that I am God, is the quote from the teacher. Be still. The chaos is going on. Our mind, our adrenaline may be wanting to, go nuts. The body may be, the doubt, the worry, calm that storm. Calm that storm within yourself. You have the ability to do it. Now, if you have been practicing through meditation, through spiritual practices, through affirmative prayer, if you've been practicing, you have a greater grasp on how it is to bring calm to the inner beingness of you, okay? Because you can do this. You can do this because we can all do this. We are all created in the image and the likeness of God. The divine nature exists here, right here within us, and it's available, and we can use it. So he says, again, judge not according to appearances. They may appear dismal and forlorn as hideous monsters rising out of the deep, but I shall command them to be still. Okay? It is I who speak unto you. The inner spirit is proclaiming its own nature. It is announcing its own program. And its program is your program. One of the mistakes we often make in life is thinking that the easier we can make our life by avoiding obstacles, that the easier life will be. But that's actually not true. The muscles, if you will, of our consciousness, of our understanding, of our beingness, they strengthen as we address obstacles, as we open ourselves up to principle, as we seek to see and accept and receive a demonstration. And if we don't, it's not the end of the world, so to speak. In anything that doesn't demonstrate or manifest, it's not about how we failed. It's about what we can learn about the particular process in this particular case. Maybe it's something within us. Maybe there's something there that we need to see, again, in that failure that is going to redirect us into a new area. We have to be open to that. But we have to trust first in the divine being. We have to trust first in God. I think that's a good place to take our first break, and I'll see you when we come back.
With Organic Pastures Raw Milk, you're getting a product that has been meticulously managed from grass to glass. From our pastures to our dairy, creamery, and distribution, we work hard to produce a product that is safe and clean for you.
Got lactose intolerance or dairy allergies? Discover delicious raw milk and discover dairy the way it's supposed to be. We provide tours and would love to see you. Come visit the cows, watch the milking, the cheese being made, and learn all about raw milk. We're just 20 miles south and west of Fresno, California. Call to schedule a tour at 559-846-9732.
The Saga of Bridget and Amanda by Carol Love Forbes brings to life the struggles of historical women in early America. Find the Saga of Bridget and Amanda on Amazon and Barnes & Noble and order your copy today.
You enter this door with expired tags. Beyond is another dimension, a dimension of regulations, a dimension of long waits. You have reached the registration zone. What looks like an ordinary shop is actually Mitchell Smog, located in the heart of the Tower District, a few minutes from the DMV. Mitchell Smog offers your vehicle a STAR-certified smog inspection. So remember Mitchell Smog when you need to pass through the registration zone.
Christy Majors is your local real estate connection. With a solid, hard-working team, traditional listings, short sales, probate listings, and foreclosures are treated in a personal and caring way and closed in a timely fashion. Since 2009, Team Majors has closed more than $75 million worth of homes all over California. Reliable and trustworthy, Christy and her team will go the extra mile for every client, whether selling or buying a home. So give Team Majors a call at 559-464-5606 or visit teammajors.com.
After a tough day at the track, cleaning up can be a time-consuming task. That's why we use Extreme Cleaner, the non-toxic, biodegradable, multi-purpose cleaner and degreaser. Extreme Cleaner cuts through even the toughest of grease and grime. Fast. Great for cleaning tools and work surfaces. Extreme Cleaner. Tough on grime, safe on the environment. Visit extremecleaner.com to find a retailer near you.
When you experience flooding in your home, you need to call Clean Master Emergency Flood Service at 559-213-9430. After soaking in water for only 45 minutes, carpet starts to come apart. Clean Master Emergency Flood Service can help, and not just with carpet repair. They also offer carpet cleaning, upholstery cleaning, carpet installation, and more. Call Clean Master Emergency Flood Service, and they'll be there in 60 minutes. Call 559-213-9430.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
Hey, welcome back to New Thought Talk. I'm your host, the Reverend Steve Walling, and we're talking today, again, we're in the Pray and Prosper book written by Ernest Holmes. If you happen to have the book, I'm on page 16, 17. Actually, moving to page 17 here. Again, when Holmes talks about, and he quotes the master teacher, judge not according to appearances. Don't look out into your conditions. Don't look out into your effects and then think that your good that you wish to see demonstrated somehow has to evolve out of those. We got to know. We got to have faith. With God, all things are possible. And when we open ourselves up to that thought and that receptiveness and that acceptance, with God, all things are possible. As Dr. Johnny Coleman says, we have a bigger God than any situation we face in our life. That has nothing to do with the conditions. With God, all things are possible. Amazing things will open up to us and open up for us if we will first open ourselves up and be receptive to God's good. It's incredible. You know, Troward tells us that nature will do for us as we first do for nature. So we got to get to that point. We got to get to that understanding, that acceptance, that belief. So, moving on, he says, next we come to the preparation for prayer. He says, having shut out all appearances to the contrary. And here we go. Shut them out. He says, enter the closet. And when Jesus talks about going into that secret place, right? What we're talking about is going within ourselves. Jesus was an amazing teacher at a time where a lot of what he taught ran contrary to the dogma of the day, if you will. And he ran afoul of a lot of individuals, a lot of powerful individuals. But he still managed to teach and get out his teaching. And if we pay attention to it, if we seek to understand it, and if we seek to put it into practice in our lives, then as we do, we have every bit as a right for ourselves to expect and to see the demonstrations unfold. What he did, what he taught, he said, as I do, you will be able to do that and that much more. So keep that in mind. He says, preparation for prayer. Having shut out all appearances to the contrary, enter the closet. Jesus was not referring to any physical room or hiding place. To enter the closet means to withdraw within one's own thought. In other words, within ourselves. And, the statement of, going within, people have had fun with that in the past. Imagine trying to see somebody actually going within themselves. So having got the humor off the page, what we're talking about is finding a place where we can sit, calm our body, calm our mind. And if you think that this kind of sounds like a meditation type of experience, in a sense, it is. And the thing with meditation, besides the fact that it's a great tool on many levels for our psychological health, our spiritual health, and our physical health, it is that foundation that we can get to within ourselves as we quiet the mind, quiet the body, and go within to seek the answers as we speak our word. Okay? So he says, to enter the closet means to withdraw within one's own thought, to shut out all confusion and discord. Here is the silence of the soul. Okay, here is the silence of the soul. Look to the all-creative wisdom and power. Go within. There's one power, one presence, one life, one mind. That life is God's mind. That life is my mind, or your mind as you're going through it. We begin to set ourselves up in that place within ourselves. We're setting the foundation, if you will. You could, metaphorically speaking, you could say we're kind of preparing the field for the coming planting, okay? And so he says, when we have entered the closet and shut the door to outward appearances, we are to make known our requests, what things soever ye shall desire, okay? Where do we do this? We do this within ourselves, in our imagination. That which I was talking about just a minute ago. In our imagination, get to that place within yourself. Don't worry about, there are some people that say, well, I can't get my imagination. I don't see anything. It's black. What do I do? And again, as you work to calm yourself, right? As you work to get in that mental meditative state, as you're speaking your word for that which you intend to see demonstrated in your life. If you can create the vision within, that's great. But if you can't, can you create the thought of how it feels? Think about it. Can you think a thought about how it feels to be perfectly healthy, to be perfectly happy, to be perfectly financially free and abundant, or even beyond that, or to be perfectly situated in, a spot, a place, in a car or something where you want to be, where you want to see demonstrated in your life? Can you think about how you would feel if it was already so, as if it is already so? And as you do that, in your imagination, you can enhance feelings. You can enhance, if it has a smell, an odor, a touch, a sensation of some kind. If there's things that you can describe to yourself that are not necessarily visual, but even if you only see black when you close your eyes, you can describe visual things in your imagination. And sometimes, and people are amazed when it happens, but as they begin to do this, and they do it for a period of time, they actually begin to get images within the imagination. An imagination can be developed like any other thing that we have in our life experience that we have control over. That's one of the gifts that Spirit gave to each and every one of us, is the ability to improve on anything that we address with a heart of achieving and transcending wherever that is. Becoming a master as a musician, or a master as a writer, or a master as a teacher, or a master as a spiritual sojourner. We can all do that. And within each and every one of us is the seeds of genius in that which we were created to live, express, and experience in this life. But it's discovering that. How do we find that? Well, some people find it accidentally. They just kind of like walking in the dark and they stumble over something and boom, that's it. But for each of us, it's there. And we can begin to intentionally use our consciousness, use our various spiritual tools, study, meditation, prayer, grow our beliefs, see demonstrations, recycle that again and again, and we will begin to discover the truth of who we are, and in that truth lies the seeds of the genius of which we were gifted. And as we came into this world, as I say many times, in potential, everything we could need, want, and desire is available to us. But we got to know it. We got to know that we know it. We got to raise our belief to that level of knowingness and our acceptance on that level. And sometimes, we cut our foundation out from underneath us because we're just not really good receptors. Everybody knows, okay, it's good to give. It's good to support your spiritual center. It's good to give back to the community. It's good to be of service. Good to give. And we can get blinded by that thought, that consciousness. It's also great to be a welcoming receiver, not a taker, but a receiver. And as we acknowledge the good that's unfolding in our life each and every day, as we acknowledge that, we strengthen our ability to be a greater receiver. And that's available to each of us. He says, next, Jesus tells us we are to believe that we actually possess the object of our desire, discarding all appearances to the contrary. In other words, as we speak our word, we speak it and we create within ourselves, within that imagination, an understanding as it already exists. It already is. It's not something in the future. We're not talking future tense. If we're talking about health, for example, maybe if we're treating for ourselves and we've got the sinuses, the runny nose, or the pains, the aches, and whatever it is that may be limiting us, experiencing life being perfectly healthy, perfectly whole. And on this point, sometimes I've had people question me because we're all created equally, but we're not all born equally. And that's a hard concept for some people to get. But if you start with we're all created equally and we're created in the image and the likeness of God, that we have available to us through principle itself, our ability to express life maximally, even if we're born with some deficit, whether it be a deficit, mentally, or whether it be a physical deficit, or maybe even a social deficit, right? And if we look at that as the anchor that's tying us to wherever we're at, then we'll be tied there forever. But if we look beyond and we accept that if we're all created equal, that there is a way out, there is a ladder up to, there is a pathway open to. We have to find it, we have to open it, climb it, and we have to be willing to do the work and being accepting of the gifts that are there. Instead of damning and complaining and experiencing hopelessness and helplessness, we have to embrace the adventure. this thing called life. It's here, it expresses for each and every one of us. He says, the divine giver himself is to make the gift, but first we must believe that we have received it, and then we shall receive it. We have to first believe, and then we'll see it. We have to first believe, and then we'll receive. We have to believe in the reception, we have to believe that it's so, and we have to accept that it's so. And on that note, we'll take our next break, and I'll see you when we come back. Hi, I'm the host of New Thought Talk, Reverend Steve Walling, and I want to take a moment today and give you an opportunity to support our ministry, support our show. You can do that through a PayPal payment. You send the payment through PayPal to the email address of Madera, MADERASAC @gmail.com. If you don't have a PayPal account, you can go down below the link and you can find where you can enter a debit or credit card. I want to thank those that have supported us and those that will continue to support us. You have a great day. Bye.
Ghost Golf is Fresno's most spooktacular family entertainment center. It's frightening how much fun you'll have on our 18-hole indoor haunted graveyard course. Skeletons welcome you, but watch out. All sorts of creatures may come to life. Ghost Golf is perfect for scary good parties, so book yours today. You'll get free plays at the Mummy Shooting Gallery, arcades, and air hockey. Check out our party and weekday specials online and like us on Facebook. Come play at family-friendly Ghost Golf. Good times will haunt you.
At McDermott Counseling, you will receive the highest level of care and a welcoming, safe space in which to discuss your most personal issues. Our therapists go above and beyond for you. Call 559-280-5756 or visit McDermottCounseling.com to find a caring therapist who best suits your needs.
Diane Ainsworth's books of poetry and scriptures are available at CondioPress.com and as ebooks at Amazon.com. Diane hopes the words in her books will convey the unconditional love Jesus has for you. Learn more at godsinspirationsblog.wordpress.com and get a copy of Diane's books today.
Hello everyone, my name is Miss G. I offer fun and affordable promotion and advertisement on my talk show. It is called Fresno Vibes. We talk, we play awesome music. I also feature a bunch of different bartenders from different places. I like to have restaurants. I like to have any event, any kind of fun stuff. Contact me at rmgmissg@gmail.com and we will have so much fun and we will promote your business, promote your event right here on my show. So contact me. We'll have fun. Thank you.
In a world where Friday nights have become synonymous with going out to get wasted, consider not doing that and instead save your money and tune in to the Hey Slingshot Show Friday nights at 7 p.m. Or go out anyway and pull out your phone and watch on Facebook or YouTube. You can even watch right now. It won't be live, but there is a significant backlog of shows that you can watch right now. Hey Slingshot, Friday nights at 7 on CentralValleyTalk.com.
Hey, I'm Christopher.
Welcome back to New Thought Talk. I'm your host, the Reverend Steve Walling from Fresno, California. Moving forward here. The Father which seeth in secret himself shall reward thee openly. Okay? The concept, and oftentimes this is one of those things that some people, they get the intellectual idea of it, but to embody the idea as part of their own personal living experience sometimes can be a little bit difficult. But God exists within each and every one of us. I know that, many of us grew up in a family that taught God as being something separate. And those are things that we've talked about in past shows, and we'll talk about them again. But there's only one. That one is God. That one is the creative source of all it is, but it's also the expression of all it is. God expresses itself through its creation, and we're part of that. So when we go within, as we speak our word within ourselves, knowing that we are created in the image and the likeness of God, that means we have the nature of God. That means that the creative law of God responds as we speak our word. Again, at the level of our belief, faith, and understanding, that expression is going to take place. If it takes place at a level that maybe is less than, well, we can evaluate what that less than is. Maybe there's something in there for us to learn. Maybe there's a new direction that we're supposed to go to get to that place which we need to be in order to see that which we want to see expressed in our life. When we take responsibility within ourselves, that doesn't mean that it's somehow we have acquired the self-critical blame consciousness when things don't work out. Things don't work out for many different reasons. Yes, we do create our own life experience. Yes, it's done unto us as we believe. But oftentimes, there are beliefs that we hold that we're not even aware of. And it's good to evaluate our life on a regular basis. See those things that are expressing in our life that we have to ask ourselves, what do I have to believe for this to express in my life? And this is part of, being responsible is not just saying, okay, I'm responsible. It's a part of finding the truth of who we are at all times, under all conditions. We are a work in progress. It's not going to all happen in the next 24 hours just because you've decided that this is a great spiritual philosophy. You're going to wrap your arms, mind, and heart around it and put it into practice. It's a journey. It's meant to be a journey. Our journey is to learn more about ourselves as individuals, learn more about the truth of who we are, learn how to express that truth in our life, and learn and understand that we're never alone, that there's a power that's available to each and every one of us that reacts and responds to us as we open ourselves up, as we grow our belief, as we increase our faith. And that's what we're doing as we move forward with this. Okay? So when we're speaking our word, we know that there's a law that responds. Faith in that law becomes important. Okay? So he says, let's see. This is the eternal play of life upon itself, the eternal act of creation. Thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly. Rest in peace, knowing that it is done. This profound principle which Jesus announced and he announced and sold his followers. Okay, well, that's not right. Oh, and announced the simple technique. Announced the simple technique of its use in which he counseled his followers. Word just didn't seem right. I got, kind of got away from myself here. He says, this exists today in all of its fullness. Today as it was back then. God hasn't worn out, tired out, given up, gone away, or anything else. God is here, now, personal and present with each and every one of us. When Eckhart Tolle wrote his book, The Power of Now, it's a great way to begin to look at your life, being present in the moment. But as we're present in the moment, we're also in the same space, if you will, spiritually, with God in that same moment. When we can grasp that thought, not as an intellectual, but as an embodied beingness within ourselves. That it's that towards that we're moving as we move down our spiritual journey. He says, suppose we call this prayer a treatment and its answer a demonstration. Would it not logically follow that since the law which Jesus announced when he said, what things soever ye desire, is a law of reflection, each treatment or prayer should be definite, not I want to feel better. What is better? Better than what? Not that I want to have more money. More than what? Not that I want to have more friends or I have more life experience or overcome, I'm just tired. I want to overcome. We got to be definite. The law responds to a greater degree, at the greater degree of definiteness openness that we bring to it. He says, in every case, one would have to convince oneself that whatever is specified in the treatment or prayer will be brought about. In other words, getting to that, and this is something as practitioners, and we're all practitioners as we put this into practice in our day-to-day life experience. We have to get to that point within ourselves, that point of knowingness, not intellectually saying the words, not going, okay, I think so, not going, I hope so, but getting to a point of knowingness that it is already so. And again, this is one of those things that each and every one of us can learn how to do, how to be, how to create within ourselves, but it takes practice. And practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes improvement. As we practice, we improve, and we'll continue to improve as we continue to practice. So he says, the following examples of the possibility of prayer merely suggest certain ways in which this may be accomplished. Okay? He says, prayer is mind in action. Prayer is a thing of thought and feeling. Therefore, it is mind in action. God is infinite knowingness. We cannot explain creation on any other basis other than that the infinite knowingness moving as law produces form. The mathematics of this mind must be exact. There is a power in the presence for good, available to each and every one of us. It's done unto us as we believe. These are simple teachings, simple understandings. A lot of people grasp that intellectually. A lot of people haven't a clue as far as how to live and expressing that as their life experience. So we have new thought. We have science of mind and spirit. We have unity. We have all sorts of other ways of addressing this. And truth be known, or told, it's not just new thought. I mean, there are other spiritual teachings that teach the power of prayer, the opening up within ourselves of receiving God's good and accepting that as a demonstration in their life. They use different words, different phrases, but we're all kind of talking about the same thing. There's only one God. However many different ways you want to define it, all probably correct on some level. So we move forward. He says, prayer is a movement through our consciousness upon the universe itself. God is infinite. We are an individualized expression of God as ourselves. But when we go within, when we seek to calm our minds, when we speak our word, okay, in that moment of faith and belief, as we speak our word, we're speaking within the divine presence of God, because God is infinite, which means that as we speak our word, we're not shouting out into the darkness. You might think you are because your imagination may not give you an image. You might get an image, and maybe you're enjoying the view, but as we speak our word, we're speaking it within an infinite knowingness, an infinite presence. And what is known in any place, in this infinite presence, in this infinite consciousness, is known in all places. You think about that. That's a lot of places, right? But as we speak our word, you can have faith and know that's so, that it's like you put your word out there. Excuse me. Listen, it's better than any social media that you can connect with once you realize that you can connect with it. It's open to you. You got to align yourself with principle. You have to know the things that we've been talking about, but you can go there and be there. So he says, whenever our acceptance makes it possible, there will be an answer to our prayer, which will mathematically correspond to the use we have been making of the law of mind. If we have a little faith, the law responds a little bit. If we have no faith, the law still responds, but responds in no way. So we have to know that. Excuse me, I got a tickle in my throat. Tell you what, we'll cut away to our next commercial break, and I'll see you when we come back.
Get your copy of Crouching Mama Hidden Veggies today, packed with recipes of delicious food cooked with hidden vegetables, so you can feel confident that you and your family are eating your veggies.
Contact Sprague Electric for all things electrical, solar installations, battery systems, troubleshooting, repairs, and more. Call 559-760-0712. SpragueElectric.com.
Connect with Dr. Alan Hedberg. Watch Doctor Teach Me to Parent on CentralValleyTalk.com Saturdays at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Listen to The Psychology Report anytime at thepsychologyreport.buzzsprout.com. Visit booksbyhedberg.com and order a book for your personal growth. And join the conversation on twitter.com/Alan G. Hedberg.
With Organic Pastures Raw Milk, you're getting a product that has been meticulously managed from grass to glass. From our pastures to our dairy, creamery, and distribution, we work hard to produce a product that is safe and clean for you.
Got lactose intolerance or dairy allergies? Discover delicious raw milk and discover dairy the way it's supposed to be. We provide tours and would love to see you. Come visit the cows, watch the milking, the cheese being made, and learn all about raw milk. We're just 20 miles south and west of Fresno, California. Call to schedule a tour at 559-846-9732.
Welcome back to New Thought Talk. I am your host, the Reverend Steve Walling. Got through that little throat tickle. I think we'll be good to the end of the show today. But anyway, moving forward, Holmes tells us, he says, Jesus tells us that when we comply with the law, it is done unto us as we believe. First, we have to comply with the law. Well, actually, first we have to know there is a law. Then we have to comply with it, okay? We cannot doubt that Jesus was teaching the law of mind in action, the exercise of God power within us as a mathematical sequence of cause and effect. And in truth, that's what he was teaching. You know, I often refer to him as the radical rabbi because he taught such a change in how humans understand the divine and are partnered with it and have access to it through themselves. It was an incredible thought back in the day. And you can find, if you take time to go back and look at, you know, some of the early understandings of the early believers of Jesus, you can find these thoughts, these understandings, these truths, if you were, but they kind of got lost in history, so to speak. But they're there for anyone willing to look. Thank God that they were rediscovered and brought forth into the world, right? He says, since prayer is mind in action, we must be certain that the thoughts running through our prayers are those of exalted acceptance, of complete fulfillment, here and now. And this goes to, it's done unto us as we believe, but we have to know what it is that we believe. And like I've said many times, we hold beliefs that we're not even aware that we have. And once we are willing to accept that and willing to explore what that means for each and every one of us individually, it opens up a lot more doors. Now, we don't have to go through years of counseling or anything like that. We just have to sit down with ourselves, make a decision to do it, and move through it. I've talked about that in other shows, and I'll talk about it again. It's something that we can do. He says, prayer invokes the mental law. Okay, this is Holmes, and he says, even in divine communion, we are dealing with the law, and this is the great law, the law of cause and effect. And actually, this is that law over which all other so-called laws, whether they be laws of life, laws of physics, spiritual laws, they all ultimately are a part of or a subset of this great law of cause and effect. And as we know that, as we realize our place in that, you know, and we begin to use that, we can see how sometimes we've utilized, and we're always utilizing the law on some level, but not necessarily to our best interest. So, you know, we want to pay attention. Our prayer invokes this divine law and causes it to manifest in our external world at the level of our inner perception of its working. Do you believe within yourself that this law works for you? And it will by working through you. If you don't believe that it works for you, it, as Holmes says somewhat humorously in the early pages of The Science of Mind, it will work for you by not working for you, okay? Because that's what you believe. If you have trouble, if you are someone that is a little bit obstinate, a little bit, I want to see before I believe, you may have to work through a few things, but you can. And if you can, you will. And if you will, you'll see. And that's the way it works for everybody. He says, because this is true, prayer should always be definite, conscious, and active. Okay? Prayer is not an inactive thing. We don't pray and just walk away. Prayer is an active thing, which means that as we are working in our life, after having spoken our word, and maybe even continuing to speak our word over a period of time. And there's nothing wrong with that as we're working to see a greater good. Sometimes as we are going through our practice of prayer treatment, with continued practice, again, improvement on any one thing in particular. Don't let the lack of evidence in the material world convince you that it's not going to happen. Turn away from that. Turn towards a greater belief. Know that you have a bigger God than anything that you are seeking to either move away from or wanting to see expressed in your life. God is infinite. We're somewhat limited ourselves, but we have access to this, and it's always available, ever present. Okay, so he says, when we plant a garden, we invoke creative fertility in the soil. And I'm not going to go through this whole thing. When we put that seed in the ground, right? Is it the seed that works on the ground, or is it the ground that works on the seed? Or is it something of a kind of a mutual exchange of energies? And as energies exchange within the seed, within the soil, things begin to happen. Energy ultimately is the subset of all things, and life energy is the subset of energy itself. Now we don't think about it in those terms because we think about energy as electricity and light and various other things. We don't think about energy being an expression of life, but it is. It's the ultimate expression of life, okay? So we put the seed in the ground. What are we going to do? We're going to put it in the ground. We're going to walk away from it, never to come back? No, I don't think so. You planted the seed. You want to see what's going to come up. Now, if you plant a seed and you don't know what seed is you plant, you might be surprised, and it may be something that, I really didn't want this, or maybe it's something really exciting. How about let's plant seeds with intention, knowing what seeds it is that we plant so that we can know when harvest time comes what it is we're going to be harvesting. If we want to, there's nothing better in my book than homegrown tomatoes. I mean, they're just store-bought tomatoes can't cut it. Every year I plant tomatoes. If I planted carrot seeds hoping to get tomatoes, I'm going to be sorely disappointed. So we have to be definite with the seeds that we plant. We also have to prepare the soil because the seed, as it expresses within the soil, it's the soil providing the nutrients for the seed to utilize in that expression. So we have to prepare the soil. We prepare the soil of our mind by, again, meditation, affirmative prayer, the spiritual practices, growing our belief. And I've used this before, but for just as you're working through this, maybe you're new to New Thought, or maybe you've kind of been around a little bit, but you're not real organized, if you will, in your daily spiritual practices. Here's something to think about. It's a little tool that you can use, and that goes, when we study and we meditate, right? We study and we meditate and we pray. We grow our faith in our beliefs by constantly challenging ourselves to change, okay? Constantly challenging ourselves through commitment. There was another C there, to change. We want to see change in our life. And, no matter where we're at, right? No matter how much good you're experiencing, there's that within you that says more good would be more good. And we can do that. And that's that life energy within us, wanting to see you and I express at higher and ever greater degrees. We can do this. Okay. So moving forward, he says, we should never forget that all the physical nature is merely just an outpicturing of everything you see is just some part of the expression of God. One of the things in my spiritual journey that was kind of an inner revelation to me was the realization that everything we see is alive. Okay, you don't think about it. You think about, well, this is not alive. This, again, we go back to that life energy. You break this down. You break down. You get the atom, the molecules, the atoms, subatomic particles. We get down to the quantum level, and there's all this activity going on, and it's surprisingly enough, it's intelligent type activity. We don't understand it. We're still trying to learn about it, but it's very orderly, very organized, and not haphazardly and random. This is life expressing, okay? Life expresses in everything. As you want to move through your day-to-day experience, know that your day is entirely alive. That's why the first thing in the morning, before you open your eyes, when you begin to speak your word to yourself, embrace the day. I don't care what obstacles that life has brought you today, you can know before you open your eyes that you have a bigger God than whatever the obstacles are. You may have to do some work. There may be things that are going to have to change, but doors will open to you and for you as you begin to state your good, accept your good, and expect your good in your life. And it starts with the morning before we open our eyes. It's a great day, great God. One of the things I do on Sunday, as people come into the center and we teach, and I don't run a church service on Sunday. I do it's a teaching thing, and but the first thing we do, even before we open with our affirmative prayer, is we all make a commitment to having had left our average or less than average outside the door. We only bring greatness in because we are all great. So many of us fail to understand the truth of the greatness that we are. But we're all great. We were created great. We have the ability to live great, but we've got to know it and put it into practice. So, okay, I'm on page 21. We're moving through this a little slowly, but we're getting through it. We'll take all the time it needs to get through the whole thing. I'm going to call it here today. I thank you for being with me today. I hope you learned some things that you can put into practice in your life, and I hope even more so that you take the time to do so. You are important. You are the most important thing in your life. Know it, own it, and then take that knowingness, take that owningness, and accept that God gifted you into this world and put it into practice. I'll see you next week. Know that as you go through the week, the light of God surrounds you, the love of God enfolds you, the power of God protects you, and the presence of God, it watches over you, because truly, wherever you are, God is there. All is well. Thank you for being with me. I'll see you next week as we move through prayer and prosper, or pray and prosper. See you then.